Emilie, nice to see you. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Tell me what happened. How did you find out that your mom was going to be the Governor General?
She just very unexpectedly got a call one day and asked whether it was something she would be willing to consider, and obviously very out of the blue. I think she was finally coasting towards the idea of maybe being somewhere retired at 79. So she was kind of, do you think I should do this? And we had a great conversation about it. And I could just see the sparkle in her eye, and the idea of kind of digging in again and having work to do was something that I could see right away that she was going to be up for.
Yeah, I mean, in all the interviews I've done, I've watched about her, there is this like pull to public service. Mm-hmm. What is it about your mom you think that makes her that be such an important part of her?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's just kind of how she is, and she just she's at her best when she's kind of stimulated intellectually, and I think just connecting with people and having that opportunity to serve is just it's like a lot of things. Like, where does it come from? I don't know. I think it's just how she's made.
Yeah. What does it mean to you and your family?
I mean, just on a totally selfish personal level, it's exciting for us that she'll be moving to Ottawa, which is also where we live. And my children have never lived in the same city as her before. And so she was able to come to an event at my son's school already and that kind of thing. So that's really nice. And for my kids and for my family, having the opportunity to be on the periphery of that really important work, and getting to visit her at Rideau Hall obviously is something that's just really exciting for us.
She talked a little bit about what she wanted to bring to it and what she, why she was doing it when it was announced with the Prime Minister. What has she told you about what she hopes to do in this role?
I mean, I think I would mostly leave it to her to kind of speak to that, but I think it's a kind of, as you said, just the opportunity to be a part of an institution that's really important in our democracy, especially at a time when I think there's a lot of threats to kind of Canadians' trust in institutions. And she's someone who I think it will come naturally to her to be able to build trust with people. She's an incredible listener. And I think she has the ability to communicate a lot about the role and why it's important. And just kind of be there to represent Canadians and the Crown. In a way that I hope people will feel connected to, and I think they will. And
she was able to go over and meet the King, and I think you were there with her?
I was.
What was that like?
It was just really special. Yeah. I mean, it was just fun to go on a trip together, and just again to kind of get this first early taste of what this life is going to be like for her. It's a very different way of traveling.
Yes. Yes.
And it was special.
And he was, I know you can't talk about the private conversations, but what was the reception like with him? And because he has a special relationship with Canada, obviously.
So I wasn't in the room for the substantive part of the meeting. I would just had the opportunity to say hello quickly at the very end. But as one would expect, he was really warm and gracious, and it was a privilege to get a chance to meet him.
I want to talk a little bit about your mom's resume. It's very impressive. She's done a lot of big things: Supreme Court Justice, international war criminal prosecutor, human rights at the UN. What stands out for you as part of her legacy already as she moves into this role?
Oh, well, it's like you said, it's kind of hard to pin it down. I think something that I've taken away from her career, I would say, is that she's worked so hard and so well in every job that she's had that it's always led to a really unexpected next opportunity. I think I would say, she's not someone who had a really detailed 5, 10, 15-year plan and was aiming towards, some next particular high office. Yeah. Very much like this, she would describe it as just things falling under her plate or just being in the right place at the right time. But my analysis of it is that a lot of it just comes from people really love working with her. Yep. And she does a good job, in the jobs that she's had. And so it leads to these other things. But each one of them has been like a complete 180 in a lot of ways. When she went to the UN the first time to do war crimes prosecutions, I mean, that was completely unlike anything she'd ever done before. And I would say that's kind of true of almost every job she's had before and since. So
I think in an interview she actually said she's never been interviewed for a job.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're okay. But if you're doing your job so well that people offer you other jobs.
Yeah, and just I think when you build relationships that are authentic, and you're not kind of climbing desperately for the next big thing because it's what you think you want to see on your resume, but rather you work well with people, you work hard, and you do a good job. Yeah.
Obviously that influenced you too. You're a lawyer, you're a human rights advocate.
Yeah.
How much of that did she sort of parent down into your family? How much of that was part of the conversation for you guys?
I think it's at the dinner table, you're talking about probably different issues than sometimes other people are talking about.
I would say so.
At their tables. And But at the same time, like, my siblings aren't in the profession, and there was no pressure on them to pursue that as a career path. It was something that I was drawn to, I think, just because I had an affinity for it.
Yeah.
But our house was very much about, like, following your passion and doing something you love, because, you know, your work is a big part of what you do, and if you don't love it, then it's not the right thing for you. And so it's not that I felt pressure or like a push from my parents to go into law, but I do think probably there was some influence there, just in terms of talking to my mom over the years.
Part of being the Governor General, I think, is listening, getting to know Canadians. But Canadians also have to get to know Louise Arbour. What would you want them to know in these first couple of days?
I think just that she's a regular person like everyone else, and it really is true. Like, friends of mine growing up, they just find this all so too much, because they just know her as, like, you know, a mom in sweatpants on the weekend kind of thing. Yeah. And so in that way, like, she doesn't have airs. She is a really genuinely good listener, and she's had the opportunity in the course of her career to hear from people from all walks of life, you know, from people that have experienced a lot of hardship and trauma in really, really difficult personal circumstances, to heads of state and advocates, and so I think she will be really good at that part of the job, and she's someone who, when you meet her, you feel at ease immediately. And so I think she'll really have the capacity to build trust with people quite easily, just because of her temperament and demeanor.
Okay. Thank you for telling us a little bit about her. We'll see you on Monday.
Absolutely.
Yeah, have fun.
Thanks.
Thank you.